Right, let's get down to business. 90s football nostalgia. We're naming our funniest 11. How you doing, Gareth? You doing good?
Very well, yeah, thanks. How are you?
Excellent, doing good. You're matching the middle section of your wall behind you with that mustard jumper.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm like a chameleon. I like to fit in with my surroundings, so...
Left midfield, we've already got our goalkeeper, our back four, got a right midfielder. Now we're looking for something on the left.
Yeah.
I think you should go first and tell us who you've been thinking about from the 90s that could play in the left midfield for a distinctly average 11.
Okay, well, my first suggestion this week is Anders Limpar, primarily of Arsenal, but I think he also had a spell at Everton.
Absolutely. Yeah, Anders Limpar. Which one of the Scandinavian countries is it?
Yeah, I think he was Swedish.
Swedish.
Yeah.
I'll look him up.
Again, he was one of the very first foreign names I remember seeing in sticker albums.
Yeah.
There's something in the back of my mind about his personal life, which is why I went for him first. There may be somebody else I'm getting him mixed up with, but it'll be interesting to see what comes up in his personal life. I always picture him in that yellow sort of chevroned Arsenal away strip.
JVC.
In my mind, he had a very, almost like a child's haircut. As well, like, you know, that way.
What's a child's haircut? I'm trying. For some reason, I mean, I remember him, but I can't really picture him. So Swedish, I just imagine long blonde curtains. No.
See, I think he looked a little bit like Alan Smith, that was at Arsenal at the time as well, but with one of those haircuts where it's just had nothing done to it. Like, it is right. Just the way it's dried, it's sort of flat and straight. He's had a short back and sides, but it was a couple of weeks ago. One of those sort of haircuts.
Is it what his mum would have called a sensible haircut?
Well, a very sensible haircut, yeah.
Okay. I mean, a sensible haircut I don't associate with a winger, especially in the 90s.
No.
It's amazing. You would think because wingers have to run up and down, they would go for a more sensible haircut that will stay rigid.
Well, maybe he was a trailblazer in that respect.
Well, not many people followed the trail that he blazed, but... So, do you want to say what you think he's up to in his personal life?
No, because there's somebody else who I can suggest in future episodes who I might be getting him mixed up with. But I think we should go for his career first.
I mean, I've just loaded up his Wikipedia, so do you want me to quiz you on a few things?
Yeah, go for it.
Let's see how good your Limpar knowledge is. So you're right about Arsenal and Everton. Left Everton and played 4 games in 1997 before going to Greece for another English team. Do you remember who that is?
In what year? 97?
Yeah.
I've absolutely no idea, but I'll hazard a guess at Sheffield Wednesday.
It's the Blues, Birmingham City. I don't think they would have been in the Premier League.
Nah.
They didn't do that then. And then, yeah, to AIK. I said Greece, didn't I? But that's AEK.
Yeah.
AIK from Sweden.
Yeah.
And Colorado Rapids. And back to Sweden. 399 games. How many goals do you think he banged in?
For winger, the sensible haircut. Probably not that many. 30?
Sensible haircut means less, doesn't it?
It does,
really.
Yeah, I think so.
But reliable, you know, he'll put a shift in every week.
Yeah, he probably had a lot of assists.
30 was your guess?
30.
It's actually 66.
Oh, done him a disservice there.
From 399 appearances. I mean, you'd just join an amateur team and do one more appearance to round it up to 400, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
it's a bit infuriating.
It's a little bit annoying.
58 caps for Sweden. 6 goals there. Anything to add about his career?
Would he have been in the Sweden team in 94 then that got to the semis of the World Cup?
He was a member of, and I quote, one of the most successful Sweden squads ever. They were 3rd place, which means they won that other game that nobody cares
nobody
about.
Watches.
Yeah. There is a bit about his personal life here. Shall I read it verbatim?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Alright. After retiring from football in 2001, Limpar opened a bar. Do you know what it was called?
Was it called the Limpar, by any chance?
It's called the Limpar. In central Stockholm. Have you been?
No, I've not been, unfortunately. It was the obvious name, though.
Although it has since closed. In 2012, Limpar, together with colleague Mikkel Krona, founded Swedish company Superlock, which produces plastic boxes.
Right, okay. This is totally not what I thought he'd gone on to do.
On top of that, he's currently the CEO of betting site bestbettoday.com. That's all we've got, though, so that means we're not going to find out what this personal life is in case it's somebody else.
Well, I mean, it could be libelous, this thing that I had in mind. So there's actually somebody else who's a central midfielder who is the one person I think I got mixed up with. So in the next episode, I'm going to bring that person up.
If it's not in their life either, you need to tell us what this is.
I'll say it then. I mean, I should have known. Now I think of Limpar with his very sensible haircut. It's probably highly unlikely he would have done this thing that
this is a player with a sensible haircut who went on to found a company that makes plastic boxes, Gareth.
He's not as exciting as I thought he was.
I mean, somebody with a haircut like that should start a plastic box company, really.
Definitely. 6 out of 10 in every respect.
He's just a man who looks for sensible solutions all the time.
Yeah.
Good shout. Right, I'll fire you one back now for the left wing. I would like to suggest Jesper Blomqvist.
Ah, yes. Uh-huh.
I mean, I still hope to this day that I'm saying that name right, but I never truly know if I am. Just remembered, when I suggested it, I was going to give a visual clue, which was going to be this.
I don't get it, sorry.
No, it's just he would always wear his sleeve over his
right,
hand.
Okay. I thought you were doing some sort of puppet or something.
No, it's going to be my visual clue. Hi, I'm Jesper Blomqvist. Who is it?
So he would have fitted into that photo we brought up in the last episode of Man United subs.
Yeah, that's true, when they bought their entire bench.
Yeah. Did he start the final against Bayern Munich in 1999?
He did start the final, I'm just seeing here. But I just loved the way he always held on to those sleeves. Very much a precursor for Mohamed Salah's current style.
Yeah.
And he had very 90s hair. He's got a personal life here.
Yeah.
So what it says is he became a pundit for Swedish television series TV4. But what I thought it said, I just saw television and I thought it said T4. And I thought, that stacks up. I can see him presenting T4. Him and Simon Amstel. I can see that in my head.
Did he play for Everton as well?
No. Yes. Completely forgot. Not during the 90s though. Do you know who he played for after that?
Did he ever go to a Charlton or something like that?
He did go to Charlton Athletic. Turned out 3 times for them. So Jesper Blomqvist, another Swedish 1994 World Cup squad member.
I didn't realise he was that old.
47 now. Can you imagine a 47-year-old Jesper Blomqvist? I think that would look weird.
Do you think he's still kind of rocking the 90s, like sort of the t-shirt with the long sleeve t-shirt underneath?
He always seemed a little grungy to me. Kurt Cobain vibes.
Or his name came up recently on Sky Sports debates where they picked their best team. I think they were comparing Man United's team in '99 with Liverpool's team that won the Champions League a couple of years ago. And I think Roy Keane genuinely made the argument for Blomqvist over Mo Salah. That would have been the battle of the sleeves.
Yeah, it is. I think they're stirring up Jamie Carragher there.
I think so. Yeah, that's just a wind-up, isn't it?
I mean, it doesn't bode well that I'm putting him in this funniest 11 if he's potentially one of the best.
Yeah. Well, who's better, Ronnie Johnson or Virgil van Dijk?
Just before we move on, how are you pronouncing his surname?
If I was giving you a serious answer, I would say Blomqvist or Blomqvist.
And what's his first name?
Jesper?
Wrong, it's Lars. Lars Jesper Blomqvist.
Right, so he's a middle namer. Yeah.
He's a middle namer. Alright, it's me again, right? I'll give you one more and then back to you.
Mm-hmm.
Talking of middle names then. If I was to say middle name Waldy, W-A-L-D-I-E. If I was to say first name Reginald.
Is it Reggie Blinker?
It's Reggie Blinker.
That's a great one, actually.
Well, my thinking here is I really want some dreadlocks in the team, and I think Ruud Gullit is going to be too big for the team.
Yeah.
So I'm putting in Reginald Waldy Blinker instead, both for the dreadlocks and for the fact that he's the reason why Paolo Di Canio made it to England for that swap deal with Celtic.
Of course, even Blinker's a great name. I remember seeing him at Sheffield Wednesday. I didn't see a lot of English football, but I remember twice that I saw him, he was absolutely unplayable, and it's just because he had the dreads. It looked really cool. He was really fast, and there's something about left footers as well, and they've got a bit of flair about them.
Probably looked quicker and more flair than Anders Limpar, and their names really worked for them because Blink is like, faster than the blink of an eye, and Limpar's like just limping around.
Yeah.
Let's give him a quick look up here in case he's got anything.
Just while you're doing that, I've got a bit of a memory about Reggie Blinker. Well, it would have been before he was at Sheffield Wednesday. I can't remember if it was like FIFA or just a really cheap version of it on the PC. It must have been around 96. It was Feyenoord still had Blinker and had Henrik Larsson, who both go on to play for Celtic.
Both with dreadlocks.
Exactly, yeah. I remember I always used to go Feyenoord on this game. I basically found a bit on the pitch that was maybe about 45 yards from goal, right out on the wing. If you took a shot from this bit on the pitch and then swerved it as far as you could to the right, or if you were on the left wing to the left, it would go in pretty much 100% of the time. So it's basically a bug in the game. So it was a big part of my life when I was 9 years old, spent making Reggie Blinker score 45 yarders.
Amazing. He only played one season in England, so we need stuff like this to get him in the team, so I appreciate that story. He actually played for Feyenoord for 10 years.
Alright, okay.
86 to 96, with a season-long loan at one of my favourite named Dutch teams, Den Bosch. And then moved to Sheffield Wednesday.
What does Den Bosch mean? Because Den sounds like the to me, and it's just that Bosch would be something brilliant.
Bosch. It's a popular surname in Dutch. It means forest. The forest.
Right.
So it's a bit like Nottingham Bosch.
It's a shame he never played for Nottingham Forest, because that would have just blown our mind if we'd found out that he'd played for two teams with Forest in the title.
Played for Celtic, then RBC, and then Sparta Rotterdam, both back in Netherlands. How many caps for Netherlands?
He would have had a few when he was at Feyenoord, so I'll say something like 18.
A modest 3.
Just 3.
Alright, so who's your last pick?
My last pick is purely because I remember having a football card of this guy. I know absolutely nothing about him, but I thought he had a fantastic name. I've got a feeling I know one thing about him, but just looking at the rest of my list, it was slim pickings on the left wing. Have no possibility of any controversy in their personal life. They're pretty dull. There's one I almost went for because he's so dull.
That's saying a lot, given Limpar made the list.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
The man who makes boxes, plastic boxes.
There's one on the long list I've got there that just makes me laugh because it's so boring.
You sure you don't want to throw him in?
Nah, I'm gonna take a risk. I'm gonna take a chance here on Bruno Ribeiro.
Bruno Ribeiro definitely sounds Portuguese.
Yeah, he was at Leeds United around that sort of 96, 97, like the team with Yeboah. I think he might have played for Boa Vista or something like that.
Yeah.
Was he not one of the ones that, like, basically when George Graham came into Leeds, he just told all their best players to go? So it was like Yeboah, Gary McAllister got chucked, Bruno Ribeiro got chucked.
I don't think I remember him, but I have just looked up. He's a bit of a journeyman manager, if that makes sense.
Right.
Between 2011 and 2020, just hazard a guess at how many teams he's managed.
I'm going to say 6.
14 teams.
in 9 years.
Right in the middle of those is Port Vale, so that gives you an idea of what we're talking about here. But it seems to space them out. There's pretty much 2 a year.
Who's going to give him a job? Like, they know that in 6 months they'll want to sack him. How do these people keep getting employed?
I'm just looking at his playing career. So 97 to 99 he played for Leeds. Then had a couple of years at Sheffield United, actually. The rest of the time spent in Portugal. 2003 to 2010 for Vitória Setúbal, 136 games, and they're the team that gave him his break in management, setting him off on this horrible journey.
Right. And they've never been in the top flight since.
Yeah, Portuguese under 21 caps, no full caps.
Any B caps?
And no B caps. Well, here's a good quote. Style of management. He's stated that 90% of his training groundwork is based on Jose Mourinho's ideas.
Is he like a condensed Jose Mourinho, whereas instead of it going well for a couple of years and then it tails off, he's alright for a couple of matches and then it tails off?
Exactly. Andy Smith is his close friend and preferred coach, according to this.
That's a good bit of detail there. Bruno Ribeiro is such an exotic name, and then Andy Smith.
But what you're forgetting is that Bruno Ribeiro's management career is, apart from Port Vale, almost entirely in Portugal. So to them, Andy Smith is the Bruno Ribeiro.
That's true.
And Bruno Ribeiro is the Andy Smith.
That's right. Uh-huh.
He's the exotic foreign manager coming in from Northern Ireland.
Do you think that's how they keep getting jobs? And he's like denying the young Portuguese assistants just based on his exotic name.
Anything to add to support his case?
Not really. A bit disappointed, but I guess I knew there was nothing to lose because the other 4 I've got are so boring.
Maybe you should just run us through those before we pick a winner.
I'll save the one that makes me laugh because it's so boring to last. So I've got Steve Guppy.
Solid player for Leicester.
Yeah, good name as well, Guppy.
I know.
It's a good name.
I almost put him in for the name.
I've got Stan Lazaridis, who I think was West Ham in the 90s, later went on to Birmingham. I've got John Celaco, who is the
Coventry City.
Yeah, Crystal Palace as well. He's only the second most boring person on this list.
Well, John Celaco's got quite a cool name.
Yeah, Celaco. I've just seen him on Soccer Saturday though from time to time, and he's not going to have anything exciting going on. He probably has an England B cap though.
Shall we look him up?
Yeah, go for it. See if he must have a B cap.
You're not half eating all your words and apologising to him. He's played 5 times for the full England team. All in 1991.
Alright.
He was at Crystal Palace.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Oh, well, I take it all back. John Celaco.
Yeah. Just going to say, do you know John Celaco was born in Nigeria?
Yeah, it sounds like a Nigerian name, doesn't it?
John,
aye.
Yeah. Alright, who's your last one?
Probably the most boring footballer I've ever come up with in my life is Andy Sinton.
Yeah, even if he was your classmate, he just sounds like the most boring person in your class.
Yeah. Sinton is like... You don't even get names that are that English anymore. I can't even remember who he played for. Was he Spurs?
He played for Spurs.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe he started off Ipswich or something.
Right.
I'm going to look him up because it'd be hilarious if he had an amazing personal life.
Yeah. I do have a memory of Andy Sinton though, in those early days of Sky Sports where they used to show non-league games and tried to make them sound like the most exciting thing in the world. A veteran Andy Sinton was playing on the wing for, I don't know who it was, you might be able to tell me in a minute, but he'd won a throw-in and the fullback in the opposition team was still sort of on the ground, and Andy Sinton just like walked to pick up the ball but like trod on the guy's leg on purpose as he went to get the ball and just got away with it. That's the most exciting memory I have of Andy Sinton.
Well, he played quite a lot of games for Brentford and then QPR, and then went Sheffield Wednesday to Tottenham, Wolverhampton, then finished off down at Burton, Bromsgrove and Fleet Town. But the best part is his national team record. Now, he did get 12 caps for England, but it would have been a strong case for this team purely for the fact that listed in the national teams is England schoolboys, England B, and the Football League 11. It would be nice to get a Football League 11 internationalist in the team somewhere. Yeah, they played against the Scottish Football League 11 between 1892 and 1976. They must have resuscitated it around 90. A shame he's not on the list.
Yeah, I feel like I've made a mistake in going for Ribeiro over him now.
I've got Peter Beagrie, who I think's probably somewhere in the world playing football with Francis Benali down the left side.
He'll still be going, definitely.
I've got Jose Dominguez, who I tend to think of as the dark-haired Spurs Jesper Blomqvist.
Portugal specifically always had players in their team that never seemed to quite do it in Britain, Scotland and England, but they would still get in the Portuguese national team somehow.
Yeah.
So somebody like, I remember Helder Postiga, who was a flop at Tottenham, but whenever it came to major tournaments, he was always the first pick and scored tons of goals for Portugal.
If I was a Pete Waterman, I'd put Jesper Blomqvist and Jose Dominguez in my boy band, but I'm not going to put them in the team. So I said Reggie Blinker and Jesper Blomqvist.
Yeah, and I went for Anders Limpar and Bruno Ribeiro.
I would quite like Reggie Blinker to be in there, but when you read them all out, and this is what it's essentially all about, the one that made me laugh was Anders Limpar.
I think it's definitely between those two. I mean, Blinker's name is amazing, and his style of play. He's got a good aesthetic. I think I would probably side with Limpar just because of the detail we found out about him and how it was the polar opposite of what was in my head about him as well, which I'll reveal in the next episode.
Basically, if you've got a man who's got a very standard haircut and makes plastic boxes, and after the match we can all head down to the Limpar as well, I think he needs to be in for that alone.
I think so. We managed to get another Scandinavian in the team. Remember, you used to play like Championship Manager, and Scandinavia would be like a treasure trove of bargains. Kim Källström, classic example.
Yeah, Becker Georglu was a big one.
However you said it, yeah. I wonder if that was the reality in the mid-90s, the English Premiership.
Yeah, I mean, Championship Manager is always pretty reliable, apart from Tonton Zola Moukoko. So in goes Anders Limpar, the man so boring I almost forgot his name there again. And next time, centre midfielders, and hopefully we hear this long-awaited story that you thought was Anders Limpar, but possibly not. Don't forget, right?
Perfect.
Can't wait. In you go, Limpar.
He's in.
See ya.